Hi, Seattle Seahawks fans. I'm reporting to you the day before the free agency period starts going. It looks like we might not be able to re-sign Michael Bennett, but I think we have some pretty good, solid people behind him, and we could really keep this team together and maybe even make a few improvements in the draft. So let's go over free agency and see how everything shakes out. I guess let's assume that we lose both Golden Tate and uh, hey, I forgot, and Michael Bennett. Just assume it. I think Michael Bennett, I think, was reported that is really um, coming close to signing with Chicago and Golden Tate. Yeah, I might like to keep him, but I think they'll probably go for a higher amount if he had offered that, which I wouldn't blame him. So let's assume those two things happen. Let's go ahead and lock up Earl Thomas in a brand new extension, long-term contract, and see how that gets going. At least we have one guy off our mind, and Earl Thomas is like Russell Wilson in this whole deal. All right. So that's it. That being said, I'm gonna go over just our starting lineup, what it would look like if we let Michael Bennett go. Okay. So if Mike Bennett go, the next man up will be Cliff Averill, who will have who signed for next year already. So we're good to go. We don't have to really worry about anything long term. I'm just going to talk about next year, 2014 season. So Cliff Averill will be the guy. On left defensive tackle, we'll probably lose Clint McDonald and Tony McDaniel to free agency. Although, it wouldn't hurt to, sign Clinton McDaniel. He did perform. 5.5 sacks is pretty decent. But if we could sign him, we'll see. But let's say we don't. Jordan Hill, the guy we drafted last year, our third round pick from Penn State. I think he'll be plugged into that rotation if Clinton McDonald isn't there. And then Jesse Williams will be that big body. Oh, let me go back to the defense end. Cliff Averill, yeah, he's probably going to do most of the downs, 60% of the downs, so he'll be essentially Michael Bennett, just a little smaller. But if you need something a little bit more stout, Greg Scruggs, or I heard, has really bulked up after this injury. He's looking pretty buff, and he's at 305 pounds now. So he's stout against run. So that Red Bryant role could be his. Okay. DeAnthony Smith, who's in our practice squad, he could back up Jordan Hill and Jesse Williams. So Jordan Hill more so for that active guy like a Michael Bennett, and Jesse Williams there if you would need something a little bit more stout. Although he's pretty decent too. I mean, he might even compete for that 5 technique, but we'll see. And DeAnthony Smith, of course, is the practice squad. Of course, we don't want to change too much. We're looking at Brandon Mebane, being that solid nose tackle. He's a big wide low. I think he'll do well as our nose tackle. And if he needs a little relief, we have a big boy. His name is Dwayne Jerrington, 6'3", 340 pounds. Of course, DeAnthony Smith is versatile as being a nose tackle as well. Right defense down with just the Leo, Chris Clemens, just like last year. But I think I think he's still pretty healthy. Yeah, he might take a pay cut, who knows? But looks pretty healthy, and last year he was coming off surgery, so I think he'll do okay. Seeing that we won't be able to keep Bennett, we need to keep Clemens. And Clemens, in reality, when he's healthy, he's an 11 sack guy versus Bennett, who's 8.5. So we'll have his sack numbers back up. Benson Maiwa is somebody from the practice squad. Pretty fast guy. A lot of people were first with him. All right. On strong side linebacker, we have Bruce Irvin, our first round draft pick. Very, very fast. He could, I think he's better as a rush linebacker, and he's could be pretty decent in his second year as a linebacker. And I want to draft someone else in the draft for his backup. Middle linebacker, Bobby Wagner. I think he's an all-pro level. Doesn't get enough credit, and he's the captain of the team. KJ Wright makes a really good backup. He was the starter before Bobby was there. And then let's draft somebody. I heard something Pete Carroll said when he was looking for someone. He said something like that. He was looking for the next KJ Wright. So I don't know if KJ Wright will be there after his contract is up next year. So I have a feeling they're going to be drafting a middle linebacker as well as an outside linebacker. KJ Wright was the starter last year, and he's probably going to be this year. And Malcolm Smith is his backup, which is a pretty decent backup for the Super Bowl MVP. Okay. Myron Maxwell and Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, and Cam Chancellor are the solid starters. Jerry B. Lane, a good nickel corner. Harold Simon, near apparent. He's that big press covered like Richard Sherman and Myron Maxwell. Jerron Johnson, backup strong safety and free safety. And Deshaun Shedd, in lines of the safeties that we've got right now. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about offense. So, my wish, but I think it's going to happen. So we're going to probably draft Kelvin Benjamin, big, 6'5", 330 pound wide receiver, to be our X. I think he'll be there. There's a lot of good receivers. And even if we don't, I think Odell Beckham Jr., Allen Robinson, Jordan Matthews are quite a possibility that we can get. Okay? So he'll be at the X, and then Percy would be on the Z because he can move around. And Doug Baldwin will probably be the slot receiver. Okay. So we'll pass a little bit more. I think they're gonna give Marshawn a break, more of a break this year. So he could last longer until the playoffs. But he'll get his standard 1,200, 1,500 yards somewhere around there. But he'll be carrying the ball a lot less, at least in the early part, just to make sure that he's fresh in the later part. I think we'll have enough firepower on the receiving end where we could have a little bit more flexibility than last year. Seeing that Percy and Kelvin Benjamin will be a more robust speed, size, possession, receiving crew versus Golden Tate and Doug Baldwin. Although Doug Baldwin will still be there and catches between 40 and 50 passes, I think Percy and Kelvin will probably catch way more than our starting wide receivers last year. Zach Miller, I think, will stay. I don't know who else we'll get. And then Luke Wilson, that Joker tight end, would be nice. Yeah, he could catch a little bit more than 20, but I think overall we're expecting the tight end running back position to only catch really 60 balls. All right, so Percy and Kelvin as the starters on Z and X. Percy being Z, Kelvin being X. If we need a slot receiver, Doug's there. Tight end starter would be Zach Miller, but if we need a joker, Luke Wilson will be there. Of course, Marshawn be the starter, but I have this feeling that Christine Michael is better than Robert Turbin as far as a backup and being more explosive, the heir apparent, and perhaps Robert Turbin might be traded for an extra draft pick. Who knows? Derek Coleman, I like watching him. He's a tough running back, and he's also capable of carrying the ball on a one-back set. Big guy, 6'3", 230. I think that's as big as Spencer Ware even. We didn't really see that much last year, but I think we're going to see more of as the backup fullback and the backup the third tailback, and Christine Michael will be that second tailback, and I have a feeling he'll be carrying more and Marshawn will be carrying less, because we want to keep Marshawn there for a while, at least until his contract runs out. Okay, so let's go to the offensive line. Quarterback, obviously Russell Wilson. So the line will basically look the same. Okay, Russell Okung. Left guard will be replaced. I don't know. I think James Carpenter should move to the right tackle for now. I think we'll evaluate whether or not we want to keep him after the contract is up. Left guard Michael Bully, he proved during the playoffs that you could trust him. Whole year we'll see how that goes. Center Max Unger, Pro Bowl level. We're fighting off some injuries, he'll be okay. Right guard Jared Sweezy, and we just picked up another guard, Greg Van Roten from Green Bay. Just give him a little push competition, so the winner would start. But I think Jared Sweezy overall will start. James Carpenter, I just hate to think that we wasted first round draft pick on that guy, but I've seen him play and he's smaller, and I think he'll be good for that run game. So starting him in right tackle where he really needs to be would be a really good place to put him. Plus, I'm only gonna money's worth. I think, they're talking about, oh, he's a bad pass blocker, but I go, Breno was too, and I saw Breno have a lot more holding penalties in most inopportune times. So overall, I think that would be good to go ahead and have James start there. And I'm just gonna go over what I'd want on draft picks. So the first draft pick is number 32. I think we're gonna pick Kelvin Benjamin, wide receiver from Florida State University. Big, 6'5", 230 pounds. Much 4'6", not but has good separation. And I watched him that Florida State game against Auburn. He looked pretty good. And there was a few other games throughout the whole year, and even against my Gators, he did really good. So Kelvin Benjamin will be a solid number 32. But even if he's not there, you have Odell Beckham Jr., you have Jordan Matthews, you have Allen Robinson. So there's quite a few good wide receivers in that first round, early second round range that we could get at number 32. The second pick I'm looking at is Jeremy Ataocho, an outside linebacker from Georgia Tech. Normally I had at guard, my previous mock drafts I have him guards, but I think this would be a better value. And I was listening to an interview with Pete Carroll, and I said something like he was looking for the next KG Wright. So I had a feeling he was looking at a linebackers in this time and draft really high on that. So I would say, and this guy looked pretty good in, that lean, angular, tall look, athletic. And what I noticed, I mean, tackles like he's not that many tackles, but what I noticed that he had 13 sacks last year, which a rush end or a rush linebacker doesn't hurt this team a little bit, that much. The fourth round pick, Cameron Fleming, offensive tackle for Stanford, looks a little light on his feet. I like Stanford guys, as far as line's concerned. Then the fifth round pick, I think he was even projected it, but I think he might even go down. But even still, I think he might go be up after this pro day tomorrow. Max Bulla, from the middle linebacker from Michigan State. We're probably going to lose Keith Harwell, and this guy would be a great special teams player, and then could fill in on a pinch if Bobby ever goes down during season. He was the captain of Michigan State, led in tackles. He had a pretty good career at Michigan State, so I'm kind of ignoring some of those stuff that they're criticizing him about, but I think he would be an excellent guy to have on the team. Max Bullock, middle linebacker, Michigan State, 5th round. He's projected about that. He might even go down, but I think we should pick him up with that first 5th round pick that we have. Another guy I'm high on is John Urschel, offensive guard from Penn State. So let's say J.R. Sweezy doesn't work out. This guy, I think, is a lot better prospect, and he was a guard throughout his whole career, and I think Penn State always has good players coming out of that program, and he's one of the best. Number 6 is kind of like let me see how good this guy is. A little small, but it wouldn't hurt to pick up another slot receiver. I don't think we have a slot receiver outside of Doug Baldwin. I think Percy could be a slot, but I think if you need another slot, that would be okay to pick up. And he may or may not make the team regardless. But 6th round, Dre Archer, the fastest 40 in the whole draft. A little small, but I think he'll be okay as a slot receiver, or at the very least a punt returner for our team. And then 7th round, I have AC Leonard from tight end from Tennessee State. Big guy, caught very productive. Did pretty well in the North-South game. What's it called? The North-South game, All-Star game, amongst his peers. Did pretty good in the combine. So that would be my last, newest review on free agency and the draft for the Seahawks. So my assumption is that we might not be able to pick up either Michael Bennett or Golden Tate, and then we're going to go ahead and use that extra money and try to sign Earl Thomas long term and keep most of the team together. Thanks for listening.